Hello. Just following on from the last video, and I've been reading all the comments and really fascinating and very thought-provoking comments as to whether the prosecutor had seen the footage of the arrest in which Lucy Letby is arrested in pyjamas. It just opens further cans of worms, actually. And one of them is, was that filmed footage of that arrest supplied to the prosecution? And if it was supplied to the prosecution, was it also then supplied to the defence? Because as Yelda, at Yelda, who makes a comment on the last video, says, why wasn't Myers, the defence barrister, objecting? Why wasn't Goss, the judge, objecting? I'd like to also say. Yeah, and Yelda also says that as well. Why isn't anybody objecting when Lucy Letby is being, at the very least, pushed into a completely false position? She's talking about a different arrest, and this sneaky, dishonest individual is getting the jury to believe. It's quite hard for me to. I'm trying to get my head around what it is he's doing. Okay, so if he has seen the footage of the arrest, then it's obviously a blatant lie what he's doing. If he hasn't seen the footage of the arrest when Lucy Letby is in pyjamas, all this does matter, because it's all about attacks on Lucy Letby's credibility to the jury. That's the point of it all. It's not about pyjamas, not pyjamas. It's about credibility and whether. I mean, we know this, don't we? So let's say hypothetically, the prosecution team, and him in particular, hadn't seen that because the police had held it back. I think that's a perversion of the course of justice in and of itself. But let's say he hadn't done that. He's fully aware, this prosecutor, that Lucy Letby has been arrested 3 times. It was incumbent upon him, if he was an honest person, to stipulate for the jury, because he's meant to be serving the court and the jury and the ends of justice, is he not? Is he not? So it was incumbent upon him, and also the defence, to involve themselves and the judge, but they didn't seem to, as far as I'm aware, unless they did in some part of the transcript that we're not aware of. But anyway, incumbent upon the prosecutor to know that there are 3 arrests. He knows that fine well, doesn't he? Fine well. And he shouldn't be misleading the jury deliberately by winning his little trick by talking about another arrest and making out as though Lucy Letby's response is related to the arrest that he's got in his head that he's not making explicit, in which she isn't in her pyjamas, knowing full well that she's obviously talking about another arrest. And he is conflating the two, not out of incompetence, not out of a mistake, but out of a technique to lie, out of a technique to achieve the lie, whether he's seen that footage or not. Because if he hasn't seen the footage, if he's an honest person, if he's got a shred of honesty in him, he would be addressing Miss Letby. Which arrest are you referring? I'm referring, because he says there is a bit of back and forth there. He says, well, I can show you the film if you like. So he's got a very specific bit of film in his mind. And this is clearly where Lucy Letby's defence should come in. And saying, well, which arrest are you talking about? Which year? How is that allowed to all slip through the cracks by the defence and by the judge? Because they're meant to be helping the jury understand what the arguments are. Is anybody in the room? Is anybody of any competence? It's not about competence. That's what I can't believe. I can't believe it's accidentally that bad. None of it's that bad. It can't just be happening. Anyway, so I'm very grateful for all the comments, and it just leads to something else which I might not have thought to do, actually, and maybe other people have done it already. But what I've just done as a result of reading comments by, lots and lots of people, but by Vivian and also another commenter here, Mackenzie Falls, who was talking about that, about the idea of, had he seen it and everything, which is great for me to consider, because we do need to delve further into all this, because it leads to the point where we need to know, we should know, and I've done 2 FOIs just now off the back of these comments, because I never probably would have done it. The first point is first FOI is let me call it up, to the police. So I'm writing to the police here tonight, and I don't know whether they're going to reply to this, or they'll reply. Are they going to keep it all under secret, or use some bogus get out? Well, the systems are set up for them to be able to hide as much as they can. I'm not asking for names of confidential names. This is what I'm asking them, the police. Should they respond to me honestly? And that's a real tough thing to ask, isn't it? Of the police, to ask for any honesty. But anyway, I'm asking them this. Did Cheshire Police share filmed footage of all 3 of Lucy Letby's arrests, 2018, 2019, 2020, with the CPS / prosecution? And was all this filmed footage then shared with Lucy Letby's defence team? Now, I know that second question might bleed into the CPS's responsibility. So it might be that the police say, yes, we shared it, or we didn't share it. I'm expecting them to say, we can't tell you, or something like that, which is, why wouldn't you be able to say? Why wouldn't you just be able to say it? But we'll see what they say, if they reply at all. But I'll follow it up if they don't reply at all. And the second one then is, which leads necessarily on from that, is to the CPS. Dear Sir or Madam, FOI request. In preparation for the first trial, 2022, of Lucy Letby, did Cheshire Police, so do it both ways round, did Cheshire Police share with you filmed footage of all 3 arrests of Lucy Letby, 2018, 19 and 2020? If they did share filmed footage of all 3 arrests, did you then share all this footage with Lucy Letby's defence team? I want answers to these. We need answers to this. If they say yeah, if the police said yes, we shared all the footage with the CPS, and the CPS, yeah, we shared it all with the defence team, then it's utterly unequivocal that the prosecutor is knowingly lying and knowingly misleading the jury. And I want us to know that, and I want us to really do that in a kind of belt and braces way, so that we can say, well, there's no way out for you now. There's no way out. And there shouldn't be any way out anyway, for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, is that he knows there are 3 arrests. If it's his clever sleight of hand to get the jury to bully Lucy Letby, in the sense that he's talking about a different arrest, he knows full well she's obviously talking about a different arrest. And if he doesn't know that, why isn't he asking her which arrest she's referring to? Because he knows there are 3. And here's the other thing, that you can't be innocently incompetent about it. He can't be innocently incompetent in what he's doing in that court there. Why? Because if he has, and he says, he makes reference to a bit of film he's seen, so he's talking about a different arrest, no pajama situation. But therefore he knows that there would be films of all 3 arrests. So why has he picked that one? Does he imagine that the other film doesn't exist? That it might not be that Lucy Letby is telling the truth about the other arrest? He knows all that. And he's the utter soul of dishonesty and corruption, that individual. It's an example of something, but it's really important. But this is this is happening time and time again. It's like, it's what they do, and it's what they're allowed to get away with. Sorry, I had been trying to keep calm. Keep calm. Yeah, I'll let you know if I hear anything back from Cheshire Police, or the CPS about that. We need to know what was supplied, and if Cheshire Police deliberately withheld that footage from prosecution and defence. And this is why the comments are so fascinating and so helpful. and so generative of further ideas to do FOIs and other arguments that people are having in comments. That's why this is all, it's the phrase I've thought of before, the wisdom of the commons. That's all wisdom. It's just building up further things to track down. Because there are so many ways that they've just, as we're seeing, as it's all coming out now with the article by Lucy, where they're talking about, they deliberately had a very set timeline, and the timeline is not about deaths in the hospital. It's about when a certain nurse is there and isn't there. And as someone said, I saw in some other comment, they weren't investigating deaths in a hospital. They were just investigating a person from the get-go. And contrary to what the SIO, Detective Hughes, says, where he says he lies at the beginning of the hummingbird video that they did, their puff piece, they're puffing their own, I can't think of what I was going to say, but blowing their own trumpet, puffing their own trumpet. He says, no, we didn't just look for one person, and we didn't just look for one thing. So a complete and utter provable lie. And there's many, many ways to prove that that's a lie now, obviously, and it's just going to keep coming out and out. Thank you very much for listening. If you have, take care and have a good Sunday evening. Bye-bye for now.